What do you do when a god tells you your friend's life isn't worth saving? When the most powerful being in the sky looks down at you and says, "Not my problem." Today, we descend into the first half of Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation Volume 14, where ancient power meets modern helplessness and a girl's slow death forces our hero to choose between obedience and defiance. The journey starts at the ruins of Scott Fortress, a battlefield turned graveyard, long since devoured by time. Rudeus and his group are guided by Nanahoshi, who leads them to the legendary floating citadel, Chaosbreaker, the domain of the armored dragon king Perugius. Yeah, the guy who helped seal Laplace. You'd expect him to be some noble savior, right? Well, prepare for disappointment. Their entrance is surreal, teleported through white voids, walking through opulent marble halls patrolled by masked familiars that could solo most adventuring parties. The fortress is breathtaking, divine even, but behind that beauty lies cold, inhuman detachment. Because nothing says welcome like, "You smell like Laplace. Don't blow anything up or I'll kill you." And then, the doors open. A cold wind seems to follow as the grand chamber reveals itself. Gilded columns, tapestries of long-dead empires, and chandeliers that glow not with fire, but with magic older than kingdoms. The weight of history presses on every breath. At the end of the room, on a throne carved from obsidian and arrogance, sits Perugius, the armored dragon king. Tall, radiant, and colder than the void he calls home. He doesn't rise. He doesn't need to. His presence is heavy enough to keep the entire room kneeling without a word. And as soon as Rudeus sees him, the golden eyes, the silver hair, his body locks up. He looks too much like him. Too much like Orsted, the man who once killed him without hesitation. The others feel it too. Cliff stiffens. Sylphie grabs Rudeus's hand without realizing it. Even Ariel's practiced posture falters for a heartbeat. The familiars, masked, silent, deadly, stand on either side of the throne like statues ready to move. Nanahoshi steps forward first. Calm, analytical, she speaks with the clinical precision of a scientist who's done this 100 times. Dimensional theory, summoning rituals, progress updates. It's a language of facts in a world ruled by instinct and myth. Perugius listens, barely. His golden eyes don't blink. There's no curiosity, no praise, only a distant kind of tolerance. When she finishes, he nods once, like a man acknowledging the weather. Ariel is next. Regal, confident, but not today. She bows, introduces herself with grace, offers the assured throne as the reason for her presence. Perugius doesn't even pretend to care. He cuts to her speech with surgical bluntness. Her kingdom? Insignificant. Her politics? Petty. Her ambitions? Transparent. And yet, he offers her shelter in his fortress. Not out of kindness, but amusement. Like a dragon offering shade to a kitten just to see what it does next. We're out favor? More like you're entertaining. Try not to die while you're here. Then, it's Rudeus's turn. He steps forward, heart pounding, mana trembling inside him. And Perugius notices. He narrows his eyes. "You," he says, "were difficult to teleport." The room goes still. Rudeus's vast mana reserves, the blessing of his reincarnation, of all his growth, have finally drawn real suspicion. Perugius likens him to Laplace, not in power, but in potential. A monster waiting to happen, a vessel capable of catastrophe. A thinly veiled warning follows. Cause trouble here and I will erase you. And Rudeus? He bows. He speaks with humility. Measured words. Respect. Not out of submission, but because he knows there's no room for pride here. Not now. The tension begins to ease. Barely. Then Rudeus asks the one question he's been carrying in silence. "Do you know anything about my mother? About Zenith?" For the first time, Perugius looks interested. He speaks of labyrinths, not as places, but as systems, devices, cursed machines designed by ancient beings to create cursed children or blessed children, souls rewritten, memories stripped, identities sacrificed to sustain magical ecosystems. And then, Elinalise speaks. Her voice, usually playful, seductive teasing, is now thin. Hello, she confesses that centuries ago, she too emerged from a labyrinth, memoryless, broken, rewritten. Her curse, once a punchline, is now exposed as a trauma she never truly escaped. Rudeus stares at her, stunned. The mask is gone. All that's left is a woman who survived, but never really returned. The silence that follows is unbearable. No one speaks. Not even Perugius. Then, as if summoned by fate's cruelty, Rudeus senses something wrong. Behind him, Nanahoshi stumbles. Her face pale. Her body convulses. Blood spills from her lips. And before anyone can react, she collapses. The labyrinths, the ones that swallowed Zenith, aren't just places. They're rituals designed to erase people, to transform them into cursed or blessed children. Their memories stripped, their souls twisted to fuel ancient magic. And just when it couldn't get worse, Elinalise speaks. Her voice breaks, and her past unravels like a wound reopening. She too was taken, saved, but changed forever. Her curse, the one that's always been treated like a running gag, now becomes something tragic. A cruel survival mechanism from a life she doesn't remember. Love lost, identity stolen, centuries of running from a past you can't name. What does it mean to survive when you've lost who you are? Rudeus doesn't answer, but the silence hits harder than any spell. And just when you think things can't get worse, they do. Nanahoshi collapses. One moment she's standing, composed, calculating, untouchable, and the next she's crumpled on the floor, coughing blood. Her body trembles like glass under pressure, her eyes wide with terror. It's not a magical attack. It's not poison. It's rejection. The world itself is trying to erase her. Sylphie rushes forward, instinct taking over, casting a healing spell before anyone can stop her, but the magic recoils like a knife. Nanahoshi screams, body convulsing under the spell's effects. Rudeus grabs Sylphie's wrist mid-cast. Stop! You're frightening her. Sylphie pulls away, shaken, guilt already rising in her throat like bile. She doesn't cry, not yet, but her hands won't stop shaking. Perugius observes from above, silent, still, dispassionate, like a man watching ants struggle beneath a magnifying glass. One of his familiars steps forward, Yuruzu of Atonement, and kneels beside Nanahoshi. She scans her with ancient magic, eyes glowing with ethereal symbols. Then comes the diagnosis, Dryne Syndrome, a disease from another era, back when mana was scarce and the world less saturated with magic. For anyone born outside this world, it's fatal. Slow, merciless, and irreversible. Her body is rejecting mana the way a body rejects a foreign organ. No cure, no hope, just time, and not much of it. Perugius finally speaks. He offers a solution. We can place her in stasis. She will not die, not today. He offers no comfort, no promises, no further aid, just cold functionality. Like she is cargo, a relic to be stored. Like her existence is an inconvenience more than a tragedy. The benevolence of gods, everyone. You want to save the world? Absolutely. You want to save one girl? Yeah, no, that's above my pay grade. Clef loses it. The loyal follower of Millis clenches his fists, eyes burning with fury. He challenges Perugius directly, calls him out for abandoning a helpless girl, for acting like a king while refusing to carry a king's burden. Perugius doesn't even look at him. I do not divert my resources. My purpose is to destroy Laplace. Nothing more. Sylphie turns away, silent tears falling now. She feels it, the powerlessness, the failure, the fear that she made it worse. Her healing, her gift, became a curse. Zenobor says nothing, but his brows are furrowed, his normally animated face still and tense. Even he, the most magically ignorant of them all, can see what this means. And Rudeus? Rudeus stays. He kneels beside Nanahoshi, brushing her hair back as she slowly regains consciousness. When her eyes open, they aren't filled with intellect or fire, just emptiness. She realizes what's happening before anyone speaks. "I'm dying, aren't I?" she whispers. No one answers. She tries to laugh. A choked, hollow sound. "I came here to go home, not to die on the floor of a floating castle like some experiment gone wrong." Her voice breaks. The dam bursts. She weeps. But these aren't cinematic anime tears. They're real. Ugly. Raw. A cry ripped from the soul of someone who has lost everything. Her world, her family, her identity, and now, her life. Rudeus doesn't look away, because he understands. He's been the outcast, the worthless, the failure, the one who died with regrets in a world that didn't care. And now, looking at Nanahoshi, he sees that Rudeus again. And that's when he makes the vow. Not to the gods, not to Perugius, not to fate, but to her. "You're not dying here. Not like this. Not alone. If the gods won't help, if heroes won't act, then Rudeus will carry her himself to the ends of the world, into the lands of demons and death, through madness and monsters, until he finds an answer, because he refuses to let her die forgotten." This part of Volume 14 isn't just plot, it's character crucible. Perugius isn't evil, but he's detached. A god shaped by war, not empathy. His apathy is terrifying. Elinalise sheds the caricature and becomes a living echo of what Zenith may become. Nanahoshi becomes more than a plot device. She becomes human, fragile, bitter, brilliant, dying. And Rudeus, he finally stands up, not for glory, not for family, not for pride, but because it's right. This is a chapter about powerlessness, about realizing that strength, titles, and legends mean nothing when someone you care about is slipping away and the world just shrugs. But this was only the beginning. Nanahoshi's life now hangs by a thread, and time, as always, is running out. To save her, Rudeus must leave the safety of the skies and descend into the most dangerous land he knows, the Demon Continent. A place where memories rot, kings go mad, and strength alone means nothing. There, he'll face the wrath of the immortal demon king, Atof, a force of nature who sees no difference between honor and chaos. He'll fight, he'll flee, and he'll make a promise more terrifying than any curse. Because if he fails, Nanahoshi dies, and the future collapses with her. If you don't want to miss what happens next, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, because in the next video, we're heading straight into madness. Demon lords, forgotten gods, and the most dangerous battle Rudeus has ever faced. This was only the fall. Next time comes the storm.